Never have I actually thought Trump was my daddy. And Kamala is not our mommy. Now, I realize Drew Barrymore has an effed up mom who put her into the spotlight at this young age and let her do drugs and drink when she was, I think, in the single digits or like 12 at the oldest. That's a sickness, right? She's platformed these people. She leaned in and woke. Now she wants to get away with on Bill Maher. If you've changed, then own that. Own how you've changed, how you've seen the error of your ways. How you won't be kneeling down to the transgender cult anymore. And I'll listen to you. A lot of people have evolutions. I will listen to you. Right now, I think you're just saying what you think you need to say to be popular with Bill Maher's audience.
All right, let's dive into this complete disaster of an interview because honestly, I can't decide whether to laugh, cringe, or pour myself a stiff drink just to get through it. Drew Barrymore, the same Drew Barrymore who once literally got down on her knees in front of Dylan Mulvaney, recently sat with Bill Maher. And let me tell you, this was nowhere near the redemption arc she imagined it would be. Before even unpacking what went wrong, let's take a second to talk about Drew Barrymore herself. She's not just some random celebrity. She's Hollywood royalty, a former child star who's been in the public eye practically since she could walk. But that fame came with chaos. This is someone who was pushed into the spotlight way too young, reportedly drinking and using drugs when she was barely out of elementary school. That kind of childhood leaves scars, full stop. And now, decades later, she's still drifting through Hollywood like a stray balloon at a kid's birthday party, untethered, uncertain, always trying to morph into whatever the crowd wants her to be. This interview with Bill Maher was supposed to be her raw, unfiltered moment. The problem? You can't really be raw when you still don't know who you are. What came out instead was a perfect storm of awkwardness, hypocrisy, and classic Hollywood double talk. Then Megyn Kelly came in swinging. She didn't just criticize Drew, she shredded her. She took a scalpel to Barrymore's polished image and laid it wide open for everyone to see. And honestly, it was harsh, but it wasn't wrong. So here's the setup. Drew is sitting across from Bill Maher, nodding along as he talks about free speech. Bill makes this point that under Trump, you could actually speak your mind, but under Biden, it feels like tiptoeing barefoot through a minefield, one slip of the tongue and boom, your career's gone, friendship's gone, reputation in flames. And whether you love or hate Bill Maher, it's hard to deny he has a point. We've all seen it, people getting canceled over decade-old tweets, careers imploding overnight because they dared to say something the woke crowd didn't approve of. That wasn't paranoia. It was happening.
He had on Drew Barrymore, this again on the podcast, and listen to what she said in SOT 28.
You have a lot of bravado about what you think is the truth or not, but it's just so refreshing. Like, you were doing this before it was so dangerous.
Still dangerous.
And it is just way too dangerous now,
yeah.
But you're still doing it.
It's slightly less dangerous than it was 2 years ago because we did have a vibe change. And because the Democrats lost so badly in 2024, the blush is off the rose on left-wing censorship and, oh my God, you can't say that. Stop telling me what I can do, what I can say, what I can think, who my heroes are supposed to be. Just get the fuck.
But this is where Drew Barrymore steps in and completely drops the ball. She leans in, eyes wide, and says, oh, it's still too dangerous to share your real opinions. And I had to pause and ask myself, dangerous for who exactly, Drew? Because let's not forget, this is the same woman who eagerly gave a platform to Kamala Harris and gushed over Dylan Mulvaney like they were the ultimate saviors of humanity.
So he's saying what he's always said, to his credit. He's been very consistent. But there you have Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore talking about how it's still too dangerous to speak out with your real opinions. So what are her real opinions? Because just like Jimmy Kimmel and Sarah Silverman, she's been fueling the fire of wokeism for years. Who could forget how she humiliated herself next to fake quote unquote woman, meaning a man, Dylan Mulvaney, who came on her show and was treated like Jesus.
Where was all this sudden concern about free speech when people were being silenced left and right under Democratic leadership? Back then, Drew was more than happy to sip the woke Kool-Aid. She didn't just drink it, she practically bathed in it. So Megyn Kelly calls her out, and she does it the way only Megyn Kelly can, razor sharp and without a hint of mercy. She basically says, "Look, Drew, if you've had a change of heart, then own it. Say it plainly. Admit you were wrong. Admit you bowed to the transgender agenda and now regret it. Admit you're done feeding the flames of woke insanity. That's something people would actually respect." But instead, Drew pulls the classic Hollywood shuffle. She says whatever sounds good in the moment, especially in front of Bill Maher's audience, which is probably the last group on earth that wants to hear more woke nonsense.
Oh my God. There's so much wrong with that clip. It's stomach turning. She's like, leftists need to learn the number one lesson of being happy in life. Do not lean into your problems. Don't lean into crazy. Everyone's had crazy in their lives. The successful, sane ones do not obsess over it, do not want to relive it over and over, do not want to talk about it night and day on their show, do not talk about things like the ground feels safe to me, and they certainly do not literally bend the knee to the cult of transgenderism, Drew, and then talk about how, gee, it feels so dangerous. It's so dangerous, still too dangerous to say how you really feel. About what? What is it? Do you have a reversal on that issue?
And here's where it actually gets interesting, because Megyn raises a question that's worth really considering. Maybe Drew Barrymore has changed. Maybe she really does have doubts about all the woke talking points she's been parroting for years. But she's too scared to say it out loud because, let's be honest, the woke mob doesn't forgive. If you deviate even slightly from their script, you're finished. This isn't like normal politics where people argue and move on. No, in woke culture, one misstep and they'll cancel you, drag you through the mud, and make sure your career never recovers. So maybe Drew does see the cracks in that ideology. Maybe she does regret kneeling to Dylan Mulvaney on national TV. But instead of owning it, she hides behind this vague, it's dangerous talk. And that's the real issue. That's the rot. Because if you know the truth, but you're too afraid to speak it, you're part of the problem. And Drew Barrymore is absolutely part of that problem. She gave Kamala Harris a platform. She literally called her Mamala. I mean, come on, it doesn't get more cringe than that.
Take a risk. You're in a safe space with Bill. Maybe he should have gotten her down on the floor and she would have said how she really felt. You continuously vote for the party and the people who push that bullshit on us. You, madam, are complicit. You hosted Kamala Harris, who says, we all need to be woke. We need to be woke because we just do. That's your person who you actually had on your program and wanted us to call Mama.
Politicians aren't our parents, and they definitely aren't supposed to be our mommy or daddy. This whole Trump is daddy, Kamala is mommy nonsense is flat out embarrassing. Politicians aren't here to hold our hands. They're meant to lead, protect freedoms, create real opportunities, and keep the nation strong. We don't need babysitters. We need leaders. But Drew doesn't seem to get that. She feeds into the fantasy. And why? Because she's still that Hollywood child star trained to perform, conditioned to say whatever keeps the crowd clapping. It's not authenticity, it's survival. And that's exactly what makes this whole thing so disappointing.
When we lift each other up, we all rise with the mouth quivering, just like the hideous to Dylan. Where do you find the strength to keep being the joy? Where do you find the strength to keep being the joy? Oh my God, she's she's too far gone. This is what happens when you become a Hollywood actress as a child. You lose your id. You don't know who you are. You're just floating. You're like the Martian, the astronaut disconnected from the spaceship. You're just adrift in space, untethered. You don't know who you are. Where do you find the strength to keep being the joy?
Let's not forget this is the same Drew Barrymore who literally got down on her knees in front of Dylan Mulvaney, openly bowing to woke ideology on live TV. And now she's suddenly warning about how dangerous it is to express opinions. Dangerous for who? Drew? Because you sure didn't seem concerned when conservatives were being silenced or when people's careers were being wiped out for stepping out of line. Back then, you were perfectly comfortable cheerleading for that cause. The only reason you're suddenly uneasy now is because the tide has shifted. Americans are fed up with it. People are mocking woke culture, pushing back hard, and you can feel that momentum building. That's why Drew is rattled. It's no longer dangerous to tell the truth. It's dangerous to keep clinging to a collapsing woke narrative when everyone else is finally waking up.
He's not joyful, okay? He's a sick person, Dylan Mulvaney. He, I believe, may have had his chopped off. He's taking massive amounts of hormones. He's pretending that he is something other than what he is. And I believe, and many others believe too, because he really wants to be famous. He's been wanting to be famous for many, many years. He wasn't able to make it as a man or a gay man or a non-binary man, and now has gone full Eloise. And that's something that you think is brave, and you celebrated it openly on your show and told others that they should.
And to be fair for a moment, Drew Barrymore didn't exactly grow up with stability. Hollywood chewed her up and spit her out before she was even a teenager, and that leaves deep scars. It makes you question who you really are, constantly chasing approval and searching for the next script to follow. You can see it in her interviews. She's unsteady, always floating, always trying to find the safest line to make everyone like her. But here's the reality. When you live like that, you end up pleasing no one. Megyn Kelly nailed it when she basically said, be yourself at the very least, no matter the crowd. If you've changed, own it. If you haven't, then stop pretending you have. Right now, Drew is just saying whatever she thinks the audience wants to hear. And that, my friends, is the very definition of inauthentic. The hypocrisy isn't just frustrating, it's dangerous. Because Drew Barrymore has a massive platform reaching millions of people when she pushes woke nonsense one day and then tries to act like free speech is suddenly too dangerous. The next, she's not just being inconsistent. She's actively feeding into the same culture that shuts people down. She's not on the sidelines of the problem. She is part of it.
The nonsense about, who dislikes me the most? Me. Oh my God, this woman has a national platform where she's passing on this craziness to God knows how many viewers. And then we all need a mom? Like, how crazy is that? No, we don't. We all had a mom, believe it or not. Some were good, some weren't great, some were amazing. I'm lucky enough to be in that category. I certainly don't need my politician to be my mom, okay? Not at all. We joke about Trump being daddy because that NATO Secretary General referred to him as such. And it's sort of a joke, like dad's home. He's not actually our dad. And by the way, I lost my dad when I was young. Never have I actually thought Trump was my daddy. And Kamala is not our mommy. Now I realize Drew Barrymore has an effed up mom who put her into the spotlight at this young age and let her do drugs and drink when she was, I think, in the single digits or like 12.
But here's the kicker. Maybe she hasn't changed at all. Maybe the whole thing was just an act. Think about it. She knows Bill Maher's audience isn't exactly friendly to the woke agenda. So instead of going full progressive, she tones it down. She nods, she smiles, she acts like she understands. But do we really believe she's had some sudden political awakening? Or was it just a performance crafted for the crowd in front of her, especially given her track record? I'm leaning toward performance.
That's a sickness, right? She's platformed these people. She leaned into woke. Now she wants to get away with on Bill Maher saying it's too dangerous to say how you really feel about What? You are the one who's been fueling the fire that you now seem to be calling dangerous. I mean, just the hypocrisy. Be yourself at a minimum in front of all crowds, okay? If you've changed, then own that. Own how you've changed, how you've seen the error of your ways. How you won't be kneeling down to the transgender cult anymore. And I'll listen to you. A lot of people have evolutions. I will listen to you. Right now, I think you're just saying what you think you need to say to be popular with Bill Maher's audience.
And while we're at it, let's talk about Bill Maher's point about The View, because he absolutely nailed it. He basically said that Whoopi Goldberg and Joe Scarborough aren't exactly the best representation for women right now. And he's right. Those two have some of the most bizarre, out-of-touch takes on politics you'll ever hear. Whoopi has practically turned woke nonsense into an art form, while Joe can't go 2 minutes without dragging Trump into the conversation like he's Beetlejuice. It's exhausting, and it's exactly why so many people have stopped trusting mainstream talk shows. They're not about truth or real discussion anymore. They're about pushing a narrative. And people are tuning out because they're done being lectured.
Here's another comment by Bill on some ladies on The View, SOT 31.
I love Whoopi and Joe. Those are the two I really know. And I did it like a year ago, and I liked everybody, but like I don't know if they're really, at this moment, the best advertisement for women. They just...
It's a format, that show.
They say some things that are just like not helpful, like say to elections. I mean, it's just,
Yeah, they actually are sitting on the floor. And still, she wasn't able to say what's real. Okay. Everyone who watches the show knows that he's right about that too.
So here's where it all comes together. Drew Barrymore had a real shot here. She had a golden opportunity to show growth, own her past mistakes, and say something genuine. Instead, she sidestepped the issues hid behind vague statements and ended up looking more lost than ever. And Megyn Kelly? She called it exactly for what it was. At the end of the day, people aren't looking for polished Hollywood double talk. They want honesty, they want authenticity, they want voices and leaders who actually say what they mean, even when it's not the easy thing to say. Drew Barrymore failed that test. And unless she starts truly owning her opinions, whatever they really are, she's only going to slide further into irrelevance. But that's just my take. What about you? Do you think Drew Barrymore is genuinely shifting her views, or is she just playing whatever part she thinks will keep the applause coming? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you think. And while you're at it, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to see through the Hollywood smoke and mirrors. Because this isn't just about Drew, it's about all of us and whether we're willing to stand firm in what we believe, even when it's not popular.